You are paying $60, $80, maybe $100 to fill a raised bed with beautiful growing media. Year 1, everything thrives. The tomatoes are incredible, the lettuce is perfect, and you are thinking you have finally cracked the code to easy gardening. Year 2, things still look good, maybe slightly less impressive, but you chalk it up to the weather or different seeds. Then year 3 arrives, and something has clearly changed. The plants are smaller, the yields are lower. The soil that used to drain in seconds now sits waterlogged after a rain, and your tomatoes are developing yellow leaves from the bottom up, no matter how much fertilizer you throw at them. Here is the frustrating part. You did everything the same way. Same seeds, same watering, same spot. So what happened? The answer is not above ground where you can see it. It is underground, where a slow collapse has been building since the day you filled that bed. Once you understand what is actually happening down there at a biological level, everything about your raised bed suddenly makes sense. Not just what went wrong, but exactly how to fix it and how to make sure it never happens again. Let me show you what is really going on beneath your plants. The first thing you need to understand is that year 1 performance in a raised bed is not normal. It is a honeymoon. That fresh growing media you filled your bed with was essentially a nutrient bomb. All that beautiful compost and organic matter was decomposing rapidly, releasing a massive flush of nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and micronutrients all at once. Your plants had an all-you-can-eat buffet, and they responded by growing like crazy. But here is where it gets interesting. Think of your raised bed soil like a bank account. When you first filled it, you made one enormous deposit. All that organic matter, all those nutrients, all that beautiful loose structure. But every single crop you grow is a withdrawal. Every tomato that leaves the bed, every head of lettuce you harvest, every bean you pick, that is nutrients leaving the account. And here is the number that blew my mind when I first learned it. 90% of fresh organic material added to soil disappears quickly through decomposition. 90%. The microorganisms in your soil are consuming your organic matter at an astonishing rate, especially in the first couple of years when there is so much of it available. So while you are admiring those incredible year 1 results, the account balance is already dropping fast. Let me show you the physical side of this, because you can actually see it happening if you know where to look. Walk out to a raised bed that has been growing for 2 or 3 seasons and look at the soil level compared to the rim of the bed. Notice how it has dropped? That is not your imagination. Compost-heavy growing mixes can lose up to 50% of their volume in a single season just from organic matter decomposing. Even standard mixes with a blend of topsoil, compost, and amendments typically settle 10 to 25% over the first year or 2. Your soil is literally disappearing from underneath your plants. And this volume loss is not just cosmetic. As the organic matter breaks down, the physical structure of your soil changes dramatically. Fresh compost is full of macropores, large air spaces that allow water to drain through quickly and roots to grow freely. But as the organic matter collapses, those pores fill in with finer particles. The soil gets denser, water moves through more slowly, oxygen exchange drops. Your plant roots, which thrived in that loose, airy mix in year 1, are now struggling to push through compacted, poorly drained soil. But the physical changes are only the beginning. At the same time your soil is shrinking, the chemistry is shifting too. Here is something that surprises a lot of gardeners. Each 1% of organic matter in the top 6 inches of soil releases roughly 10 to 20 pounds of nitrogen per acre per year, according to data from the United States Department of Agriculture. That sounds technical, but the practical point is simple. As your organic matter percentage drops from that initial high of 25 or 30% down toward 10 or 15%, the natural nitrogen supply drops right along with it. Your soil is producing less and less of the nutrient your plants need most. And nitrogen is especially vulnerable in raised beds because it leaches so easily. Nitrate, which is the form plants actually prefer, dissolves in water and washes straight through well-drained soil. Every time you water, every heavy rain, a little more nitrogen slips below the root zone and is gone. In the ground, there is a much deeper soil profile to catch and recycle that nitrogen. In a raised bed, there is nowhere for it to go. This is why your tomato leaves start yellowing from the bottom up by midsummer of year 3. The plant is literally pulling nitrogen from its older leaves and sending it to the new growth because there is not enough coming from the soil anymore. It is not a disease. It is hunger. But here is where the real damage happens. And this is the part that completely changed how I think about raised bed soil. Your soil is not just dirt and nutrients. It is a living city. A single teaspoon of healthy soil contains billions of microorganisms, thousands of species of bacteria, hundreds of species of fungi, plus protozoa, nematodes, and arthropods, all working together in an underground economy that makes your plants grow. And the most important residents in that city, at least for your vegetable garden, are mycorrhizal fungi. These microscopic fungal threads attach to your plant roots and extend outward through the soil like a massive underground network. They increase the absorbing surface area of your plant roots by up to 700 times. That means a plant with a healthy mycorrhizal network can access water and nutrients from an area of soil that would be completely out of reach for the roots alone. Think of it like this. Your plant roots are like a local road network, getting around the immediate neighborhood. Mycorrhizal fungi are like adding a highway system that connects your plants to resources across the entire bed. But these fungal networks are fragile. Every time you dig, turn, or significantly disturb the soil, you sever thousands of those connections, and they take weeks to months to regrow. If your raised bed soil has been repeatedly planted and pulled, dug, and turned over season after season, the mycorrhizal network never gets a chance to fully develop. Your plants are stuck on local roads when they need the highway, and it gets worse. As soil biology declines, pathogen populations take advantage of the gap. Healthy soil suppresses disease naturally through competition. Billions of beneficial organisms keep the harmful ones in check. But when that biological diversity drops, pathogens like Fusarium, Verticillium, and Pythium can build up to damaging levels, especially if you have been planting the same crop family in the same bed year after year. Some of these pathogens are incredibly persistent. Clubroot, which attacks cabbage, broccoli, and kale, can survive in soil for 7 years without a host. White rot of onions and garlic persists as tiny resting structures called sclerotia for over 50 years. In a confined raised bed, these pathogen populations concentrate in a very small volume of soil, which makes the problem even more intense than it would be in an open garden. There is one more piece of this puzzle, and it is the one gardeners accidentally make worse when they try to fix the problem. If you are finding this useful, hit subscribe. We break down the science behind gardening like this every week so you can grow more with less guesswork. Now let me tell you about salt. When your raised bed starts declining and you notice yellow leaves and stunted growth, the instinct is to add more fertilizer. That is understandable, but synthetic fertilizers are soluble salts. Each application introduces dissolved minerals into that small, confined volume of soil. Some of those minerals get taken up by plants, but the rest accumulate. Season after season, application after application, the salt load builds. Your tap water can make it worse. If you live where the water is hard, every time you irrigate, you are adding calcium and magnesium carbonates to the soil. Over 3 seasons of regular watering, that mineral buildup becomes significant. You can actually see it. That white crust on the surface of established raised beds is salt. It is only the visible tip of what has accumulated through the soil profile. High salt concentrations create osmotic stress in plant roots. Even when the soil looks moist, the roots cannot pull water in because the solution around them is too salty. The plant wilts. You water more, the salt gets more concentrated, the plant looks worse. You add fertilizer, more salt. It becomes a vicious cycle. Adding more synthetic fertilizer is genuinely the worst thing you can do in this situation. So now you understand what is happening underground. Organic matter is disappearing, nutrients are leaching away, soil biology is collapsing, pathogens are building up, and salt is accumulating. All of it compounds silently, season after season. But here is the good news. Every single one of these problems is preventable, and most of them are reversible. The solution is simpler than you might expect. The single most important thing you can do for your raised beds is add 2 to 4 inches of well-rotted compost as a top dressing every year. Not dug in. Laid on top. Late winter, just as the soil is waking up for spring, is the best time because it gives the compost time to integrate before planting and avoids nitrogen loss from winter rain leaching. This annual compost addition does everything at once. It replaces lost organic matter and volume. It feeds the soil biology. It improves water retention. It supplies slow-release nutrients. And it buffers pH. It is the single action with the highest return for the least effort. But compost alone is not enough if you want to keep your beds performing for years. You also need living roots in the soil during the off-season. When a raised bed sits bare through winter, the soil biology starves. There is no food source for the microorganisms and mycorrhizal fungi that power your growing season. Cover crops solve this beautifully. Plant crimson clover or winter rye in fall as soon as you clear your summer crops. The roots keep the underground city alive and fed through the cold months. Legume covers like clover and winter peas actually add nitrogen back to the soil through their symbiotic relationship with nitrogen-fixing bacteria. You also need to rotate your crops. A 3-year rotation is the minimum recommended by University Extension Services. That means no crop family should grow in the same bed more than once every 3 years. Tomatoes, peppers, and potatoes are all in the same family, the Solanaceae. Growing any of them in the same spot year after year invites Fusarium or Verticillium to take hold. If you only have 2 or 3 beds, divide each bed into sections and rotate between them. It is not perfect, but it is far better than planting tomatoes in the same corner every single year. And whenever possible, stop digging. Seriously. Every time you turn the soil, you destroy developing structure, sever mycorrhizal networks, and accelerate organic matter decomposition. Lay your compost on top, plant through it, and let the earthworms and soil biology do the incorporating for you. This single change in management can dramatically improve soil structure, drainage, and biological activity within just 1 or 2 seasons. Finally, test your soil pH every year or 2 with a simple kit from any garden center. pH drift is invisible, but it changes everything about which nutrients your plants can actually access. A shift of just 1 point on the pH scale, from 6.5 to 7.5, represents a 10-fold change in soil chemistry because the scale is logarithmic. That small-sounding drift can completely lock out iron, manganese, and zinc, even when those nutrients are physically present in your soil. If your pH has drifted, a handful of sulfur or a bit of lime, depending on the direction, brings it back into the sweet spot for vegetable production. Here is the bigger picture of why all of this matters. A raised bed is not a box of dirt. It is a living ecosystem with billions of organisms working underground to feed your plants. When you fill a bed with fresh growing media, you are starting that ecosystem from scratch. Year 1 gives you a beautiful illusion powered by decomposing organic matter and a nutrient flush that was never going to last. But the goal was never to maintain that artificial peak. The goal is to build a mature, stable, self-sustaining soil ecosystem that actually improves with age. A well-maintained raised bed in year 5 should outperform that same bed in year 1 because the soil structure is better, the biology is more diverse, the mycorrhizal networks are established, and the nutrient cycling is mature and stable. That is what you are building toward. Not a box of fresh compost, but a living system that feeds your family for decades. So now you understand the biology behind raised bed decline, and you have the complete system to prevent it and reverse it. Next week, I am breaking down exactly how compost transforms soil biology at a microscopic level, which connects directly to everything we covered today. Subscribe so you do not miss it. And if you want to go deeper on the best soil mix for raised beds, that video is on screen right now.